right, so the purpose of the next two videos and why we're doing them in class is because this is review, and I wanted to be respectful of those who remembered and did well on this in algebra and not wanting to waste their time, and then those that needed a little bit more review could spend a little more time with this concept. So that was the purpose and the idea behind doing it this way today. So when you're talking about equations of lines, there are three ways on the formula chart that you learned how to write them: slope-intercept form, standard form, and point slope. Slope-intercept form is the y equals mx plus b, m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. If you need to write that down, go for it. If you don't, don't. So we are going to practice a little bit of graphing today. So when we have a formula in the y equals mx plus b format, this would be your slope. And remember, anything that's not as a fraction can be written as a fraction over 1. And then this is your y-intercept, including the sign before it. So that's where we're going to start our line. So we can find that on the y-axis. We put our point there. And then we use our slope to count the rise over the run. So from this point, we'll go down 4 to the right 1. Down 4 to the right 1. And then we can do the opposite of the slope by going up 4 to the left 1, up 4 to the left 1, up 4 to the left 1. And then when we connect those, that would be our line. So go ahead and practice this one. So push pause, enjoy it, and then join back with me when you're finished. So I hope your line looks something like this. Slope is 2/3, y-intercept is 1. You start at the 1 on the y-axis. You move up 2 to the right 3 and continue that pattern. And then the reverse slope would be down 2 to the left 3. Moving on to standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. And we can use the cover-up method to find the x and the y intercepts. Remember, in this form, the a, b, and c must all be integers. You can't have any fractions, and the a must be a positive number. So when we're transforming our equations, we need to keep that in mind. So the cover-up method is essentially just putting a 0 in for our x to solve for y, and then a 0 in for our y to solve for x. So if I put a 0 in for x, remember anything times 0 is 0, so that part, the 2x, essentially just goes away. And then I'm solving for y, which in this case I just divide both sides by 3, and y is 4. Then I do the same thing by covering up the y, replacing the y with a 0, divide both sides by 2, and my x is a 6. So then with this information, I can then graph these 2 points, 0, 4, and 6, 0, and then I can connect those lines. I can try and get one more point, and if I notice this, there has a rise of 4 and a run of 6, so I can go up 4 again and over 6 again. This way I have 3 points I'm trying to connect. Sometimes that's easier than just trying to connect 2. See if that's something kind of like this. Excuse my non-straight lines. So go ahead and try this one using all of those strategies, and press pause, and then press play once you have your answer to see if it matches. So you should have something that looks similar to this. Just make sure that you at least got this part, because this has this weird fraction. If your line is kind of off, that's fine. Like, don't worry about it. But as long as you understand the method on how to do it, that's what I'm more concerned about. The next type, what's the equation of this line? Well, so sometimes you'll be given a line and have to find the equation in standard form, It's easy to write this equation in slope-intercept form because we can find the y-intercept and find the slope and write the equation. So essentially we're just going to work backwards from what we did. I notice that the y-intercept here is at 0, 4. If I'm looking for 0, 4, that means my x is 0. So I can cover up my x on each one of these and see if I get 4. Here I get 3, here I get negative 3, here I get 3, here I get 4. So guess what the answer is? C. The final way is point slope form. So remember, this is the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And this y and this x come from a point that's on the line. Also remember that in the formula we're subtracting. So if my points are a negative number, for example, this was negative 3 and negative 2, and then my slope was, let's just say the slope is 4. Then when I'm writing my equation, I have y minus a negative 2, which is plus 2. And my slope, then x minus a negative 3 is plus 3. So they only turn to pluses if your point has negative values. If the point values are positive, they stay subtraction sign. So we're going to go ahead and practice. First, identify the slope as 2. And if I'm looking at my point, I look at this number and this number. Since these are subtraction signs, that means my numbers are positive. So I have the x is 2 and the y is 4. So then all I have to do from there is plot that point and then perform my slope, which is 2. Up to 1, up to 1, up to 1. Opposite slope down to the left 1, down to the left, down to the left, down to the left, down to the left, down to the left. And then I can connect those for my line. So go ahead and try that on this next one. Pause it. Check back when you're finished. All right, in this case, my slope was 4 over negative 3. So remember to always look and see if your slope direction matches the positive negative of your slope. And then my x value is a negative 5 because the formula is x minus the x value. So x minus a negative 5 would have turned it to a plus, and the y value was 0 because there's nothing there. So I plotted the point, I performed the slope, and that was my final result. Lastly, we have horizontal and vertical lines. Horizontal are my y equals lines. So no matter what the value of x is, all the y values are the same, so it's a horizontal line. The slope of a horizontal line is 0. And then vertical lines are x equal lines. No matter what the y value is, the x value is always the same, so it creates these vertical lines. The slope of vertical lines is undefined. So we have 0 slopes for horizontal, undefined slopes for vertical. So we're going to go ahead and practice these. X equals 3, that's a vertical line, so I find an x value of 3. Here's an x value of 3, and 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 here's an x value of 3. That's why it creates these vertical lines. Then I do the same thing for this one. I find y values of negative 2. So here's one, and 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 here's one. So I connect all of those, and I end up with horizontal lines. Remember, undefined slope, 0 slope. Very important. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions about lines, please let me know. Otherwise, go ahead and find your next video.